Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Soccer in 60, brought to you by SAC Health System. We are your thirsty Thursday afternoon footy fix, revolving around your favorite teams in the greater Los Angeles area. We love football globally, but we immerse ourselves in it locally. My name's Christian Phileman, better known as Philly, back with you this time not as a guest, and joining me, the longest tenured member of the show, the incomparable Timmy K. Tim Kolotz, what's up, my man?
Philly, man, great to see you. You know, it's been a minute since we got to host the show together. You made a cameo last week, but you know, it's what happens when you're doing 21 games in 6 days out in North Carolina. You got to give the vocals a little bit of a rest. And you haven't mentioned it, but we are live, and it is the day before 4th of July. So happy birthday, America. Happy 249th. It's a great day to be here with you, Philly, buddy. And by the way, I've got one little tease for us later in the show.
Oh, boy.
For Pedro.
Okay. Okay. All right. There's the tease. Folks, we got a packed house, packed show today. We have Angel City goalkeeper Hannah Seabert. Our producer Gunnar and I had a great chat with her, talked about her career spent overseas, so stick around for that. Of course, we're going to cover all the usual suspects: LAFC, the LA Galaxy, Empire Strykers, Angel City, Orange County Soccer Club. So without further ado, we'll get into it real quick, but I would be remiss as a fan of this sport if we didn't bring up the tragic loss of Liverpool forward Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva. They were involved in an accident in Spain where Jota's car veered off the highway and sadly burst into flames. More details on that to come, but extremely heartbreaking and gut-wrenching. I mean, he had everything going for him, won the Premier League with Liverpool, strong performances in Portugal on the international side. Of course, weeks after getting married, he leaves behind 3 children. My heart breaks just saying this. It's another tragic reminder that we have to live our lives as best as we can, hug our loved ones, live life to the fullest. Time doesn't wait, and we shouldn't wait for time. No guarantees in this life. But one thing that we can guarantee: Omnitrans. Experience the thrill of game day with Omnitrans in partnership with the Strykers. Be in the heart of the action at Toyota Arena and let us take care of the ride. Heading to the game, hop aboard Omnitrans for a seamless journey to Toyota Arena. Simply download the Transit app and catch your bus and enjoy a stress-free trip and to cheer on the Strykers. Tough segue, especially after some heavy stuff there, but on to LAFC. Tim, first game back in the MLS regular season since their exit from the FIFA Club World Cup, and they would host the Vancouver Whitecaps. 25 meetings between the two, 14 times since April of 2023. Lots of battles throughout their history. They played earlier this season in Vancouver. It was a game in which Marky Delgado and Denny Bwanga scored. Brian White would get a brace that would end in a draw. And with the Whitecaps playing under their new coach, Jesper Sorensen, they're playing really well, despite that thumping that they took at the hands of San Diego FC earlier in the week. But Vancouver a little hindered by a lack of personnel in this game.
Yeah, they were lacking some personnel, and like you said, you know, they did get a Loskied, as we created the term a couple of weeks ago against San Diego, but they've got a bunch of guys on international duty. There's got a couple of guys with some nicks and bruises, and coming back for LAFC to come back into MLS regular season, this was a hard one to come back into, Philly, because Vancouver is the class of the Western Conference. They got guys like Brian White lighting up the score sheet, you know, and even with Berhalter out on duty for the U.S. national team, they still had a better run of play against LAFC this weekend, Philly.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that or you could argue against it. Also, Brian White's one of the candidates for that golden boot thus far, still very tightly packed. He wasn't there. Ali Ahmed, Ryan Gold, their playmaker extraordinaire. He wasn't there either with an injury, but they still managed to get everything that they needed to get done. One goal in the 20th minute. Emmanuel Sabi would score the only goal. A nice cross in the box from Jivan Badwal, and that was it. 1 shot on target. That's all it would take. LAFC would start David Ochoa, their backup over Hugo Lloris, who's on the injury report. So Ochoa's first start ever for LAFC. For those that remember, he played with Real Salt Lake, made a name for himself, spent a cup of coffee with DC United, but it's appeared about, 20 times for LAFC too. He would get no saves, though, in the game, Tim, because Vancouver only had 1 shot on target, yet they won. For Hugo Lloris, again, I mentioned, out on injury. It's only the 4th time that Hugo has missed a game since coming on LAFC, and no surprise that LAFC's record in Hugo's absence, no wins, 4 losses, 0 draw.
Yeah, it's got to be a tough place for Ochoa to come in like that, because Hugo Lloris has been the backstop for the team since he showed up. He's been played really, really well every time he gets out there, and especially when he doesn't play. They're like you mentioned, they're 0-4, and it's a tough spot for Ochoa to come in and then only give up 1 shot. 1 shot on frame. That's a tough one to have that one go in. And like you said, they've got 4 or 5 guys out. Hugo Lloris is out for LAFC. It was a sort of tough game to watch, Philly.
LAFC had their chances, though. I mean, we can't say they didn't.
Yeah,
and even
though
that Ochoa had no saves, but if you look at the shots on target, there was only the 1. So it's not like he got tested. The back line did as good as they could to keep Vancouver from really threading and serpentining their way into the box, but they couldn't capitalize on any of their efforts. We knew and we saw from the start that a lot of the offense was going to revolve around Olivier Giroud, being that it was his final game wearing a LAFC kit. He's off to France already at Lille. I'm sure he's happy to be there. And dare I say, I bet you he's going to have a much bigger impact on Lille than he would on LAFC. He would fire a couple shots. He would actually lead LAFC as far as shots are concerned. Denny Bouanga would have 3 with 1 on target, but they just have such a difficult time scoring unless it's Denny Bouanga. It's a team that's snake bitten offensively. If Denny gets off and running, they can score, but that's it. They have no other proven goal scorers.
Yeah, and that's what Giroud was brought in to do. And like you said, within about 20 minutes after that game, he was on his way to France, back to League One, that he hasn't played in 13 years? And I believe that he's going to have a much bigger impact over there than he did here for LAFC. It's just so hard when Giroud hasn't fit the system, and you knew that every ball was going to go to him because they wanted him sent out with a bang. They wanted him to get a goal, maybe a brace, and it just couldn't happen. And as you said, Bouanga is the only guy scoring. Marky Delgado is playing great. Some of the other guys in the midfield are playing great. But unless Bouanga's scoring, there's nobody else on the score sheet as far as a goal scorer. And I think they need to really address that very quickly.
Yeah, especially if they want to make a deep run in the postseason. Look, I'll put myself on record right now. I don't think LAFC is long in the playoffs. I think the best game that we'll see, their version of the MLS Cup, was that game against Club America to propel them into the FIFA Club World Cup. I hope I'm wrong, obviously, but I just haven't seen anything to prove otherwise. LAFC doesn't lose at home. In fact, this is the 17th time that they've lost since they hit MLS back in 2018. It's wild. Mm-hmm. And they've not lost more than 4 times at home ever in a season. They've already lost twice. They've been shut out, which is even crazier to me. But again, it's not because of a lack of effort. Defensively, they stood pretty tall and well, and with the exception of one lapse in judgment, fatigue can't make a coward out of you, and obviously haven't played all those games against some really tough and stiff competition. I'm sure that played a factor into it, but without Denny, this team is cooked. Vancouver, you said it, the class of the West, them and San Diego. I can't believe San Diego has been as good as they've been, but
incredible.
Needless to say, that was the end of the Olivier Giroud experiment, as they said on the air. I will give note to Nathan Ordaz, who came in the sub for him. Nathan Ordaz, a guest of the show, made his 50th league appearance for LAFC, which is the most out of any academy grad coming out of LAFC. That's awesome. But before we get into the preview, and we have a couple games to preview real quick, the Giroud experiment was an epic failure. Do you agree or disagree?
I'm going to answer this the way I've been answering things the last couple of weeks, Philly. Yes, epic failure. It was really, I don't think it was amazingly thought out as it should have been, because LAFC knew what they were getting. They needed to make a big splash. They needed what they thought was going to be another proven goal scorer, because he's scored everywhere else he's been. But the LAFC setup just doesn't work into the way Giroud plays, and it never worked. And what do you have over the course of the entire time he was here? 4 goals total?
Three
Three.
and 4 assists.
3 and 4 assists. So I had them backwards. So, and it's very difficult that it's when everything is driven through Bouanga for the past couple of years, and you had 2, 3 other goal scorers that could play for LAFC, obviously, because they, led the West last year. They won the Western Conference regular season title. You had a bunch of guys, but the thing that, if Giroud is saying they're not crossing it to you, why not? Are you not getting open? Are you just expecting the ball to come to you and that's what's going to happen? That's, I think, the biggest thing that's very hard for LAFC fans to watch and look at this over the past time that he's been with the team. And why didn't you score? Why didn't you go look for the ball? I think it's an epic failure, Philly.
Epic failure indeed. And maybe they didn't cross to him because they didn't trust him. That's another thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't seem to be very prevalent early on, but he was part of some success. We did win the U.S. Open Cup against him. I say we. I'm not a part of the darn team. I got to get that word out of my vocabulary. It's LAFC, but at least there was a trophy that was hoisted. He was the 21st top paid player in Major League Soccer. Guess who number 20 was? Denis Bouanga, which to me is a travesty considering the guy's scored 82 goals during his time here. How Ricky Pooch makes more than Denis beyond me, and I'm not watching things through black and gold lenses. I'll tell you that. Real quick preview, LAFC is heading down to Texas. The Lone Star State has been a state that's been a house of horrors for the black and gold. They look to take on Austin, a team that struggles to score. 15 goals in the 20 games that they played. That's the lowest in Major League Soccer. Last place in both the East and the West, Montreal and the Galaxy have more goals than 9th place Austin. But to their credit, they don't concede a lot either. 23 goals against. So we'll see what the deal is. They lost to Seattle on the road on Saturday. We'll see what the deal is there. Brandon Vasquez, without a doubt, their player to watch. 5 goals on the season. Owen Wolf leads in terms of dime distributions, 4 assists. But that's not going to be the only upcoming game for LAFC soon. Colorado's going to be a midweek game. And Tim, you want to know why I am really flipping excited for the Colorado game?
Tell me, Philly. Tell me quickly.
Hello Kitty night, baby. If you're watching, I got my Hello Kitty plush doll. I love Hello Kitty. If you watch the LAFC podcast, Defenders of the Bank, you will know all about Hello Kitty. I am beyond excited for some Hello Kitty. That game will be on Wednesday, but LAFC's got their work cut out for them. One last thing, Denis Bouanga is on the trail for potentially being a captain for the MLS All-Star game that's going to be taking place in Austin on July the 23rd. The other nominees, Evander out of SC Cincinnati, Brandon Vasquez, and of course, Leo Messi. Not sure if Denis Bouanga is going to win that one, but you have the ability to vote. Get your votes in before July 11th. 10 times per day you can vote. MLSsoccer.com/votes. All righty. That concludes the LAFC segment of the show. We're going to move on now to Angel City FC. The bulk of this segment is going to be focused on our guest, our interview. And it was a fantastic dialogue between Gunnar, our producer, myself, and Angel City's newest keeper, Hannah Seabert. So let's move on quickly to that interview. And of course, we'll highlight some of the success that the Angel City players have had, in particular, Alyssa Thompson on the international stage in friendlies against Ireland. But let's roll to the videotape, as the George Michael sports machine would say. Let's roll that interview. Guest is one of the best kept secrets in American soccer. Because she built her career in Europe, she's remained off the radar for many NWSL fans who, when she was recently signed by Angel City, learned that she won the league and the domestic cup in both Denmark and Norway. 2018 Danish League Player of the Year, and the Domestic Cup in Portugal, where she captained Sporting Lisbon, making nearly 90 appearances, playing in the Champions League, and being voted Goalkeeper of the Year 3 straight times. We're so excited to have with us the pride of Riverside, California. Welcome home and welcome to Soccer in 60, Hannah Seabert.
Wow, that is quite the intro. Thank you so much, Billy.
Of course. I pride myself on those interested in those introductions, and obviously your accolades are incredible, and we're so excited to have you on here. Hannah, let's just get right into it. When your signing was announced by Angel City over a month ago, you were quoted as saying that you had your eye on joining the club ever since it was founded. To start off, why don't you walk us through the process of coming on board now after a very successful career, after a very successful European career, and how the opportunity came about? Like, what made this feel like the right time for the move?
Yeah, so I've been abroad for 8 years, which has been like, it's just like such a cool experience to like live in Europe for so long and to play for so many teams out there. But like sometimes it's just time to come home. I want to be close to family and just kind of connect back to my community and roots here. And so, when I started putting that out there that I wanted to come back, Angel City was just super intentional from the start. And I just really appreciated the way that they handled it. And especially it being like my hometown team. I don't think I was willing to say it out loud, but I was like, they're my number one, I was like, this is where I want to go back to. And so, but then, once they were so intentional, and then I was like kind of willing to admit, like, this is exactly where I want to go. We're going to make this happen.
I love it. I mean, before we talk a little bit about your pro career and obviously your time in Europe, you enjoyed an outstanding college career at Pepperdine before briefly spending time with the Orlando Pride. You said it, making Europe your home for 8 years. What's it like, though, finally being home? Like, what are some of the things you missed while overseas, and what are you most excited to have in your life again?
So Mexican food.
Yes.
Europe cannot replicate it. So I'm just like happy to be back and getting some of that like dirty, cheesy Mexican food back in. And of course, number one is family and friends. Just like so happy to be around all of them again. I love a good In-N-Out burger. I know it's cliche, but it does the job for me. Honestly, it's just something I missed about Americans, like just being back in like stores and having these little conversations. And I think Americans are they're so friendly, they're so open, willing to talk to strangers. And Europeans are like that a bit, but of course I had a language barrier, and so it wasn't so natural. And so I think it's just fun to just be back around my people and just kind of feel that again.
Amazing. And I'll say I grew up in Germany. I know exactly what you're talking about. My German friends get scared when they get approached in a grocery store. People will try to talk to them. They're like, what's happening? So I know exactly what you're talking about. Moving right along, we mentioned that if you're from the Inland Empire, speaking of being home, right? Like many other top level players, you came through Elite Youth Club Legends FC, but we also read that in high school you lettered in not only in soccer but also volleyball and track and field. You went to Woodcrest Christian in Riverside, and you have a sister named Chelsea. That's what we were able to gather. Why don't you give us a bit of insight into life growing up? What was it? Was it mostly driving from sporting event to sporting event? What would a typical day look like in the Seabert household?
Oh gosh, yeah. So much of youth soccer is just driving to trainings, right, or tournaments on the weekend. There was a time when I was going out to Temecula and Marietta, and then a lot of like my more like high school years, I was going out to like Pomona, and it's just so fun. Like I think back, and I've been really nostalgic about it recently. Coming back, just talking to my parents, like, wow, like remember, like we used to do this drive like 3-4 times a week, and my sister, she's a little bit older than me, so it was fun though because she when I played volleyball, so I was a freshman, she was a senior, and she was the setter and I was the outside hitter, and so like that was a super fun time that we had.
Amazing.
I don't think a lot of siblings get to share that, like a team together or a moment like that, and so that's like a super fun memory I had with her back then. She was the volleyball girl, I was the soccer girl. But yeah, I love Riverside. I love where I come from. I'm super proud of it. And then it's fun also being back around here, close to Pepperdine. I know the area pretty well, like through the canyon. And so just like where we're located, it's just kind of perfect. I'm just like, wow, like, yeah, I like don't have to completely start all over again.
Amazing. Now in 2017, after a stint with Orlando Pride and NWSL, you decided to move to Denmark. That's got to be a big decision for someone in their early 20s, right? Instead, you could have waited. You could have maybe waited your turn. Maybe I'll get a chance to start for an NWSL team. What made going abroad so attractive at that time? And what was it like suddenly competing and living in a country that is so different from both Southern California and Florida?
Right. So I think that a big benefit of Europe is that there's so much opportunity over there. And so at the time, the NWSL was smaller. We didn't have so many teams in the league. And so I just didn't have a lot of room to like kind of take a starting position or a number 2 position somewhere. And so I just had a really honest conversation with my my coach at the time at Orlando. And he said, like, you need to go and get playing time. You've had a great year of like really good training with us, but go get playing time because you can't really replace that type of experience with just training. So it was really hard to go abroad because it's a lot of unknown. I didn't really know a lot of girls who had done that. And so I didn't even have like a lot of like other people's experiences to go off of. But 100% the right thing for me. And I'm super glad that I did it. Because just like the experience of going over there, seeing football in a different culture, seeing life in a different culture, like it grows you a lot as a player and as a person. And so I just love, the longer I was there, I saw how much my life experience was influencing who I was on the field as well. And I think that's really cool to realize, wow, who I am as a person actually does get to come out in how I play. And it's an interesting thing that you don't always realize when you're growing up, but you kind of see it right more in your later years. And so the shock of going from warm California and warm Orlando and then getting thrown in to Denmark, and where I was in Denmark added to like the difficulty because we're at the tip top, super flat, so the wind just like whips across the land, and it was freezing. We train at night. When I got there, it was January, and they were like, "Yeah, it's our coldest winter in 50 years." It's just like, I'm so happy to be part of this. It was tough.
Yeah, well, it really sounds like it. But then, as we said in the intro, you moved on to have you went on to have a very successful career over there, winning several individual honors, league trophies in Denmark, Norway, and Portugal. In looking back, I wonder which one of those stops in Europe stands out to you the most? Where would you say that you spoke about growing as a player and as a person? What would you say was your most successful time, and or where did you grow the most on and off the field?
Definitely Portugal.
Okay.
So Portugal will always have a very dear place in my heart for multiple reasons. One, I really enjoyed the soccer there. I loved the tactics. Like being a goalkeeper, they want you to play with your feet a lot, and that was a area of my game that I just like have grown in so much, and that's my favorite area. So that was like super fun. When I first got there, it was Mariana Cabral, and she's now on the coaching staff over at Utah. And so fun to be reunited with her soon. And then, yeah, like I had a really good social group out there as well. Like I found a church and just built a community through that. A lot of expats went there. And so it just sticks out for me. And it was a place that I was actually willing to call home. I used to be really stubborn and only call California home. But I caught myself being like, oh, I'm going home, which meant, oh, I'm going back to Portugal, you know? And yeah, it was just a place where like I was able to have a very good life and work balance, but then also like with the football, like it just stretched me in ways because I was a leader in the team. I was a captain for a season, and so it just kind of it forced me to step up in ways that like I hadn't been required to do in a while since like university, and I think that just kind of it kind of made me look at myself and was like, look, what am I willing to do? Like, what am I willing to do for the team? What am I willing to do to like make myself the best that I can be? You know, super rewarding. And I think I had a very good influence on the club there, but I will say like my teammates were awesome, and like they really helped build me into who I am today.
Now that you're back in Southern California, and perhaps this question might be a little too early to mention since you talked about tacos and In-N-Out Burger. And by the way, if you hear any growling, it's not the cats, it's my stomach. Thank you, Hannah, for that one. But are there things about living in Europe that you already miss?
I mean, not yet. It hasn't been too long. Like, I think I'm only going on like 2 months, so not necessarily. I will say Lisbon summer is beautiful and super fun. It's all about like the beach and music festivals. And so I'm having a little bit of FOMO with just watching my friends do their thing out there. But I think being home is kind of outweighing that.
Certainly with In-N-Out Burger and Mexican food. I can tell you what I'm having for dinner, and I'm flipping a coin at which one I'm choosing. Back to food again. Let's get back to soccer, though, because that's why we're here. We hinted at the top of the interview that some European clubs don't get the coverage they should here in the U.S. And that is, as a result of that, you kind of flown under the radar for a lot of people. You know, hand on heart, did that ever get frustrating while you were playing over there in terms of just the recognition you deserve, but also maybe in terms of attention from the U.S. national team?
Yeah, you know, I think it was something like I was aware of. I think maybe I would have come back sooner if I had felt that like the U.S. league kind of gave props to the European leagues. Sometimes I think like I was kind of in the mindset, I was like, oh, like they're not going to care who I am because like I've only been in Europe. And so I kind of did get in that mindset, but I mean, come to find out, like it was the wrong mindset, you know, it's because it did work once I did like make it known I wanted to come back. Like I did have multiple opportunities come up. And so, like I will say, like, I think I was rightfully so in that mindset because it was kind of like, I do think there's some messaging that like, I think it was old messaging. I don't think it's current for the record, but I do think when I left the States, it was kind of like, oh, it's the backup. Like if you're going to go to Europe, it's the backup because you didn't cut it. And so I think I just kind of had that with me in the back of my head still, which is fine because now I've overcome it and I have this great opportunity. But yeah, and so, and then like, as far as like national team goes, like, I mean, I'm just kind of focused on like coming in and like working with Angel City, you know, if anything like that comes along, so be it, that's awesome. But like my big focus right now is just like, I want to come in and just be a part of this club. I think they have incredible momentum. Like I love what they're doing over here and it's been such a good experience for me so far. So my big thing is just like, how can I influence what they're already doing? How can I join that momentum? And I'm just really excited to be a part of something like that. Like, it's not really an opportunity that I had seen like this in Europe. And so, like, I'm just seeing like, wow, like there's so much potential to fill here. And there is like, everyone's kind of on the same pace and on the same mindset. And I'm excited to be a part of that. And that's my main focus.
Yeah, you transitioned us right into our next question, and we just have a few more. We've said it several times now. We'll say it one more time. You've had a great career in Europe. Now with Angel City, you're finding yourself in a situation for the first time since I would say probably your Orlando days where you're not the hands down starter with Angelina Anderson having shown a lot of promise this season, having been invited to the US team recently. What's your mindset heading into this new type of challenge? Is it fair to assume that it might take you some getting used to?
You know, like I'm going to give like a pretty similar answer to what I just did. Like, you're right. Like it's me stepping into something I haven't really experienced recently. But you know, like I knew that, like I knew I was going to come back, and like I knew that the US teams probably weren't going to give it much credit for like a European resume. And so I knew wherever I went, I'd probably come in as a 2, and I'm okay with that because I'm really confident in who I am as a player. I'm really confident in my experience. And I know that I bring a lot of value. And so, you know what, like if I'm in an environment that doesn't see that value, okay, so be it. Then I go find somewhere where like they do see the value. But like, I think already, like I have seen how the club has like been receptive, and like, it's like, I'm already seeing what I can add. I haven't gotten to meet Angelina yet, but I'm really excited for her to get back from camp because I think we're gonna have like a great relationship. I mean, I just want to come in like and kind of, you know, like build into her and like share my experiences, and then like I hope to learn things from her too. And like I think a goalkeeper union is extremely important. I think we want to enjoy our environment. We want to have good relationships, and it's not, I don't see it as like a competition thing between us. Like I think we should just build like a really good environment relationship, and that's what I'm here for.
All right, Hannah, we're down to the final question. And so I don't want to, take up too much more of your time, but short-term and long-term goals. First of all, have you thought about what would make you successful for 2025, both individually and for Angel City as a club? And thinking very, very, very long-term, given that you have a degree in sports administration, do you see yourself one day taking over as ACFC Sporting Director? And do we need to tell Mark Parsons to watch his back?
Oh my goodness, no, don't tell that to Mark. Oh my gosh, he's gonna think I'm coming for him. Yeah, I'm just like excited to see like what happens with this club. I think I'm excited because I knew that it was going to be a good training environment, and I've already gotten some trainings in, and it's been verified. It's a great training environment, and I'm just really excited to come and like hone my craft, right? Get all these little details right. The coaches, I'm super happy with like the way that they're like investing and how they're showing that they want to invest in me. And so I'm like, let's just see how good I can get, basically. And so that's going to be just like my personal little challenge for myself. Look, if we're talking long term, like I don't know how long I'm going to play, but I do have that degree. So if anyone wants to hit the LinkedIn, no, just kidding. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when we get there, boys.
Fair enough. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us. We really enjoyed the time with you. We wish you all the best and looking forward to seeing you kick some major butt at BMO this season. Good luck to you. And of course, good luck to Angel City.
Thank you guys. Love the conversation.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
Pretty wild that we haven't had an Angel City game since June 20th, and it's pretty wild that we won't have a regular season Angel City game until August the 1st. But Tim, there is a friendly that's going to come up on July 26th against Carolina Ascent FC. July 26th at 5 p.m. Carolina Ascent, one of the 8 USL Super League franchises that really had a big impact. So look for that. Tickets are starting at $23. Tell me that you can find anything better to do in Los Angeles for $23, and I'll call you a liar. Well, free also is something you can do, but free is typically boring because that involves walking, and walking is not something that Angelinos like to do. But we've had a couple of players.
Philly.
Yeah, we've had a couple of players, though, in particular that have gone on to the international stage. Let's talk really quickly about some of the friendlies that have occurred. Tim, what's been going on with the U.S. women's national team?
You know what, Philly? The U.S. women's national team have played a couple of games, and I can't find my notes. Help me out here a little bit, buddy.
Yeah, games against Ireland on the 26th. They beat them 4-0. A game on the 29th against Ireland. They beat them 4-0. A game just the other day against Canada. They won 3-0. But the cool story about that is Alyssa Thompson scored in the game, the friendly against Ireland on the 26th. He scored in the 63rd minute. And then you would have Giselle Thompson, who would get to play in the 59th. And then on the 29th, which obviously just occurred, Melissa came on, I should say, in the 80th minute and ended up scoring in the 86th. She must love Ireland. Then again, who doesn't? Angelina Anderson will make the 18, but did not play. I mentioned that the United States women's team would play against Canada. They won 3-0. No Thompson. Anderson was in the lineup, but did not play. So that's the story about Angel City. And by the way, happy birthday, Sam Leite. If you look at the Instagram post, I'm not sure who Sam's trying to fight. It looks like he's trying to knock somebody's head off, but hopefully it wasn't an angry moment. All right, I digress. We move on. Time to pay some bills. National Core, one of the nation's largest nonprofit affordable housing developers and proud sponsor of your MASL team, the Empire Strykers. At National Core, they believe that soccer has the power to transform lives just like they do. They believe in building strong communities on and off the field. To learn more about National Corps and their mission, go to nationalcorps.org. Folks, you can see National Corps if you're on the 134. They're building a big old project in Glendale. Everywhere there is some National Corps. All right, let's move on to the next segment. And that next segment, Tim. Yeah,
Let's
all right.
go to the Strykers, Philly.
Okay, good. I was getting my my hairs crossed here, and also seeing what's going on in the chat. I love our producer Gunner, but every once in a while he steers us in the wrong direction. And as the great and powerful Oz, he can do this to us, and we're the ones that look bad. How dare you, Gunner? At least you do some really good interviews. All right, Tim,
exactly. See, these I did have my notes on, Philly.
There you go. All right, couple little bit of housekeeping items on the Empire Strykers. It hasn't been approved by the Major Arena Soccer League yet in terms of transactions, but on the Strykers Instagram page, they recently announced that they had signed a new player, Felipe Dutra, out of Brazil. Now, Felipe might be a fresh face as far as MASL and indoor is concerned, but he is certainly not a new face as far as small-sided soccer is concerned. When you come and play out of Brazil, you were pretty much indoctrinated into futsal. So that's something that occurs. But he's made a name for himself playing in the TST, the soccer tournament, which is why my voice still sounds like, well, I can't say it. It's a family-friendly show, but not as good as it used to sound because called 21 games there. But he represented Newtown Pride and represented Nani FC. And now he's going to be playing for the Empire Strykers. He's not only an outstanding defender, Tim, but it's 6'4". Oh, no, Bossy is going to have to look him in the eye by looking up rather than looking down.
Yeah, this is a big deal when you're 6'4" and you're playing indoor. I mean, soccer guys, for the most part, unless you're Zlatan or a couple of these other guys, we're normally on the smaller side, 5'6", 5'8". You get the occasional 6-footer, things like that. But to be 6'4" and playing indoor, yeah, this is a great get for the Strykers. And for him to be able to come in once this thing gets approved, it's going to be awesome. And I'm looking forward to watching this guy first game out because it's going to be a different level. And like you said, when you're born in Brazil, you're basically born with the pair of cleats on your feet and a ball in your hand. And get after it right away. And so for him to come into the Strykers is a big win.
They may call them cleats around here, in particular in baseball, but everywhere else in the world, they call them boots. At 6'4", an imposing presence, no question about it. He will be much and significantly taller than Brian Orozco, Brandon Gomez, and he may be up there with Clayson De Lima. But that'll be an interesting scenario. Hopefully there's no P1 visa situation issue, something that's plagued the MASL. So keep your eyes on that. I can't wait for indoor soccer to start, by the way. Another bit of housekeeping, and it's something that we need to mention, and this was an excerpt from the team's press release, which came out just the other day. Yesterday, it was announced that San Bernardino County's 2nd District Supervisor, Jesse Armendariz, has joined Loma Linda University Children's Health, Verizon, can you hear me now, and National Corps as the presenting partner for the Empire Strykers' upcoming free youth soccer camp, which will run simultaneously in several cities. That's going on up until July the 28th, August the 1st, 2,000 local kids. If you look at the Strykers Instagram page, you'll see all the camps that are there. If you have any questions, go to the Empire Strykers, strikerswithany.com, or you can call 909-457-0252. Again, 909-457-0252 to have the kind of, let's put it this way, the professionals that are leading these camps, the kind of information, the intellectual capital that's going to be given to some of these kids for free. That's some pretty outstanding stuff. And big shout out to the Strykers sponsors.
Yeah, this is a huge deal. I was at a business mixer a week ago, last Wednesday, and Jesse was at this event, as were about 4 other leaders of the Inland Empire, including Strykers owner Jeff Burham was there. And it was an amazing event. And they announced it at this event that he was going to be part of this, and they were really putting the emphasis. And if you, like you just mentioned it, at the Empire Strykers, strikerswithY.com, there are events all the time for the community. The striker players are out and about in the community. It's actually part of their contract that they come out. And when you put it in your contract, some people will think, oh, they have to be here. I tell you what, these indoor soccer players are some of the most engaging people I've ever met. These guys want to talk to you. They want to talk about indoor soccer. They just want to talk to you in general. And they're just great humans. So I love hanging out with these guys. And I've been to a couple of these camps. And again, they had half a dozen players at the mixer the other night. And it was just fantastic.
Fantastic indeed. And like, I dare you to find me any other team that puts more of their players out there philanthropically than the Empire Strykers. Managing partner Jeff Burham and the entire Strykers organization does a phenomenal job trying to reach out there into the community, and it shows. All the partnerships that are coming on has been incredible, and the support starting to grow. I can't wait for indoor soccer to start. This is some really good stuff. A real quick update on Orange County Soccer Club. Why are we giving you a quick update? Tim, you're the Orange County guy. What's going on in the land behind or below the orange curtain?
Well, they are playing right now, as we tipped off at the top of the show. They're playing right now against Loudon, and it's currently 0-0. But Loudon does have a red card, so this could be good for the Orange County boys. That they're out there on the road, and it's 0-0 coming up on halftime.
And we'll, of course, talk about that once we get into that segment. All right, let's move on to the reigning, defending, undisputed MLS champions, the LA Galaxy. Tim, the reigning champs are still looking for the second win of the season.
They're searching. They've got a flashlight in both hands. They're looking for it.
They're searching high. They're searching low.
Low.
They wouldn't get it this past weekend, but they did manage to get a point against their very first hated California rivals in that of the San Jose Earthquakes in the 104th match across all competitions. Of course, this has been a series that's been dominated by the LA Galaxy. 50 wins. 50-34-19 the record, 168 goals for, 144 goals against. And it would be an entertaining game nonetheless, despite the fact that it ended up in a draw.
It was. This was one of the more entertaining draws that I've seen in a long time. Watching the game, and the Galaxy have got 5 points in the last 4 games, which at 20 games played, that's one more point than they had in the previous 16. So things are turning around for the Galaxy, sorta. So they're playing much better, and a lot of this, and we talked about this early, a couple of months ago, Philly, that Marco Reus had been banged up. He had been beaten up. He's Bundesliga Player of the Year multiple times, and he comes over 3 times, right? 3 times. Not a lot of people can say that on the resume. He looks like he's got legs of a 29-year-old. And even Greg Vanney said it in the post-game presser that Marco has said that he hasn't felt this good in a very long time. So he's getting a lot of great therapy work with the training staff. He's feeling great, and he played great in this game. Gets the goal, and he's taken a lot of pressure off of, and you can see it. Gabriel Peck is running free on the left side. These guys are making a lot better decisions over the last 4 or 5 games that they couldn't make earlier. They had a lot of guys being hurt, and you tell me, Philly, you watched some of the game. Peck played great. They made a lot of good decisions, and I think Joseph Paintsil is finally recovered from that quad. He just needs to take that extra half a step and put a ball or 2 on frame.
Well, 2 things. One, I'm completely unaware of what a 29-year-old's legs should look like, but clearly you're the expert. Look no further, obviously, than Marco Reus. As far as Joseph Paintsil is concerned, look, whether he's healthy or not, obviously he is healthy. But what he's been suffering from, and it's been really unfortunate because he had plenty of opportunities, Tim, is SWSTS. That acronym, SWSTS, what's it stand for? Star Wars Stormtrooper syndrome. His attempts on goal were not just off, they were beyond off. Again, go to the Star Wars films, watch a Stormtrooper fire away. The first thing that should come to your mind from here on out is Joseph Paintsill. Widely inaccurate as far as his shot attempts were concerned. But they were on the attack, which is pretty darn good. You mentioned Marco Royce having the success that he did. Look, across the last 10 games, he's had 4 goals and 6 assists. This was his first time wearing the captain's armband. What would he do? He would end up scoring a goal. But it wasn't an easy game for either team. I mean, the goal, first and foremost, that was the most lovely of the game, was the one that occurred for the San Jose Earthquakes. Mark Anthony Kay, formerly of LAFC, found the 21-year-old San Jose kid LaRue right around the penalty arc. The kid fires one, beats Miocic up on the upper right where my Uncle Franz keeps the good schnapps. That was an incredible goal. Now, the back and forth between both teams was intense. It was exciting, despite the fact that he let that goal in. Mitrovic denied Chicho Arango when he had a great touch and blasted one with a direct hit in the 72nd minute, but that's it. There was a lot of offense. Galaxy put on a lot of shots, man. They had 6 on target, 13 altogether. It was a 50-50 game as far as possession is concerned, but it's just so wild to me. Despite the talent that this team possesses, how they still are in a situation where they have one stinking win. Even as an outsider, I'm looking at things and going, this just, for lack of a better term, on a family-friendly show, stinks. But you were saying that's been a great improvement as of late? Sure. But one win. One win.
They still stink. I mean, it's kind of like when at the start of the movie Major League, when the guys are all talking about the Cleveland Indians and they're like, hey, how are we going to be? And all of the groundskeepers and everybody, they're like, hey, they're going to stink this year. And this is just the opposite.
They used, but
and this is just the opposite because the Indians ended up winning the pennant. Anyways, I digress. But the reality is, Billy, you're 100% right. They've got way, way too much talent on this team to be sitting on one win 20 games into the season. This is just, they had 40,000 fans up at San Jose at the Quakes game this weekend. They packed the house. And so you're getting a lot of support for the Earthquakes. The Galaxy are coming in. They're part of one of the reasons why they're putting 40,000 people in the stands. But for the Galaxy, again, to be sitting on one win and 9 points, 20 games in, it's I won't say unacceptable, but it is a stinker of a season. Now, we are seeing some development of some of the younger guys and things like that. But they got to be putting wins on the table. I've said for a few weeks now, there's not a chance they're going to make the playoffs, and they're almost mathematically eliminated. But you just can't have one win with the level of talent that they have on this team, Billy.
No, the glass half full perspective will be the fact that they're still unbeaten at 8 matches played on the road across all competitions against the Earthquakes, dating back to June 26, 2021. And, the Galaxy are unbeaten in 5 matches played over the course of all competitions against the Earthquakes. Now, they may have not gotten the win, but at least they didn't fall on the road to their NorCal rivals. Glass half full perspective, right? I mean, what else can you do with the way this season has been going? But they have a chance to improve vastly as they'll host their annual 4th of July game against the Vancouver Whitecaps, a team that has lost to San Diego, beaten LAFC, and looking to leave California victorious. This should be a good competition. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I'm looking forward to this game. We mentioned during the LAFC segment that there are several guys out for Vancouver. And with the exception of Ricky Pooch, the Galaxy are pretty much full strength. I mean, they've got pretty much everybody on this team rocking and rolling lately. And I think this is going to be a far better game than we expect it to be. 3-4 weeks ago, I expected Vancouver to come in, blow them out 3-0. I think this is going to be a much tighter game, and I don't see more than a couple of goals being scored. And is it okay to come away with a draw at home versus Vancouver? I think it is. So,
Fair.
and with that, hey, let's move over to Orange County, buddy.
That's your squad. I am just going to sit here and smile. They're currently playing Loudoun United. It's about halftime. Do we have any goals yet?
I haven't seen anything. It's still nothing, and it's just coming up on halftime, like you mentioned. So, again, Loudoun does have that red card, so they're playing down a man. So this could be a good chance if we get some speed out on the wings, like we had these last couple of days with Bryce Jamison and Ethan Zubak playing really well this last game. I think they could come with a win. So currently it's 57% Orange County, and Orange County has got 4 shots. So the County boys are looking good today, Philly. Looking good.
Well, look, it's all philosophy unless you find the back of the net. They could have 4 shots, but if they lose, they're going to probably want to have 27 shots just to clear the air up there. Because look, Loudoun United's a very good team. I'm sure you're going to go into it. This is a team that is second place in their third place in their division.
Third place in the conference.
They've 8-1-5. It'll be an interesting endeavor. But before we talk a little bit about that, Tim. They had a fun game, something that I enjoyed a heck of a lot of back in college was Jägermeister. Let's talk a little bit about Orange County's performance against Sac Republic in the USL Jägermeister Cup. Cheers, Hunter Master.
Salud. Yeah, this was great. And the County boys needed a win or they would have been eliminated from the competition. They would have still had a couple of games in the competition, but they definitely needed a win. And back to the top where I had mentioned vote for Pedro. That is a tease from Napoleon Dynamite. So all the kids out there, if you haven't seen it, you got to go see it. It's worth the watch.
Those only like guys with skills. What a movie made on such a shoestring budget and killed it. So Napoleon Dynamite I ate until the 4th time I watched it. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Anyways, Pedro Gamares is the man of the match. And the County guys were going crazy. And so all of the Orange County supporters were definitely going to vote for Pedro on this one. And again, because they needed this win, the County boys were really playing hard. They were getting after it. Danny Stone had these guys playing really well. The defense against Sac Republic, who does stand ahead of the County boys in the Western Conference standings. This was a really good, fun game to watch. And they had packed the champ. Basically a sellout. They had the entire east side of the stands in the sun were fully packed. And inside of extra time in the second half, Pedro comes through, makes a deft play to his right, and puts one past the Sac Republic goalkeeper for the only goal of the game. And what does Pedro do? Runs immediately over to the supporters section and just gets mobbed by about 1,500 people. They all didn't pile on top of him because he would have been squished like a pancake. But you get the idea. But it was great. And it also saw the debut of newly signed Stephen Kelly. And he looked good in the midfield. And Orange County is going to do very well with Stephen in that midfield. He fit right into the system and looked really good. So, Billy, I think the County boys are going to make a really strong push here over the next several weeks to get into a better playoff position, kind of like they did last season.
And when they do, I will gladly raise a shot glass of the Hunter Master. That's what Jägermeister stands for, auf Deutsch. So keep your eyes on the boys from OCSC. And yes, moving right along, let's go into the best. The best 11 is our choices for the best players that have competed from all the teams that we cover on this show throughout a certain time period. In this case, as you see on the screen, if you're listening, from the time period of June 26th to July the 2nd. And once again, I am going to step off because the aristocrat of Orange County himself, Timmy Kolatz, has a lot of his players on this side. Timmy K, OCSC dominating the best 11 this week.
Absolutely. And this was a great performance by a whole lot of guys with Orange County against Sacramento Republic. So we'll get after it. So the goalkeeper is Tetsuya Kadamo. He made the start in place of their normal goalkeeper, and he played very well. We got Pedro Gamares from Orange County. We got Tom Brewitt. We got Vuk Latinovich. We got Nicola Ciota, who is on a contract from the academy. This is a great guy. You're going to be hearing a lot of him. Emiro Garces from the LA Galaxy for their game against San Jose. Marco Royce, your captain against San Jose. Gabriel Peck. Edwin Cerrillo, all against this San Jose team. Nico Ben Alcazar, who has been on the show, who is a big fan of the show. And also your forward, Bryce Jameson, all against Sac Republic, Philly.
It's an odd formation, a 5-4-1, if you will. But if there's anything I have to, say, good on Orange County because they obviously deserve to have the lion's share of players on the roster. LAFC, they got some subs in there in the likes of Aaron Long, Eddie Segura, Igor Jesus representing the midfield. But this looks like a pretty good list. Of course, Marco Royce would have to be the one in there wearing the captain's armband with the level of play that he's shown. Marco Royce on fire. You said he has the legs of a 29-year-old. I still don't know what the legs of a 29-year-old look like. I guess I have to pay a lot more attention to the stems of one Marco Royce. But tremendous accomplishments he's had. I really thought that he would lay an egg playing in MLS, but clearly he has found a second life with the second team that he's played for, and it's been a lot of fun watching Marco Royce do his thing. I'm by no means a Borussia Dortmund guy, but I am a fan of Die Mannschaft, the Deutsche Fußball team, having lived in Germany for 4 years and, well, hell, being in Munich in 1990 when West Germany beat Argentina. I love the German team. So naturally, I'm going to pay attention to Marco Royce. But yeah, this is a pretty good list. I have no complaints.
Yeah, I agree with you. We got 7 guys from Orange County, 4 from Galaxy, and I like this list. I like this list a lot. And wait, no LAFC guys, nor should they be on the list.
No, but I had a thought. Clearly, friendlies don't matter because if they did, Alyssa Thompson from Angel City should be on the list, considering the fact that she scored goals in back-to-back games against Ireland. So, if there's a problem that I have with this list, I just found it. But clearly, we don't pay attention to friendlies on Soccer in 60. But we should. An honorable mention, Alyssa Thompson scoring 2 goals against Ireland in back-to-back games.
Yes, I would agree with you there because I just found my notes, and yes, couple of goals for Ireland. So with that, Philly, go ahead and take us out, buddy.
Look, I appreciate that. That's all the time we have for you today on Soccer in 60. We hope you have a safe and fun, long 4th of July weekend. With all the turmoil going on in this country and in the world, I know we have all our thoughts on politics, etc., but in the chaos, try and spend a little time unwinding, relaxing, spending time with your family, or at the very least, tell them you love them. We all need a moment to replenish because you can't fill from an empty cup. Much love to you all out there, and we'll see you next week for more Thirsty Thursday traction on Soccer in 60.